Good morning, everyone. It's incredible to see such a crowd. I saw the empty room yesterday, but with all of you here, it's really great and energizing to be back in Automation Fair. So this is a very important moment for all of us. The world is changing very, very fast. There is a lot of transformation happening. You have heard a lot of things this year around robotics, AI, a lot of the different things that Blake mentioned. Well, you know what? I'm still a real human being. I'm not a humanoid robot. So if you were expecting another form of intelligence on stage today, this has not happened. But it's an important moment because the boundary between human intelligence, robotic intelligence is blurring. There are more and more things that are possible. But in the background of all this excitement of technology, of all those new possibilities, whatever is your role in the industry, you still have to meet demands. This is still the same challenge. So the world is changing rapidly, the technology is evolving rapidly, but there is such an incredible amount of possibilities around you that the noise versus the signal is sometimes a little bit blurry. But you have to meet your challenges. Those challenges are always the same, the right product at the right time with the right quality. But they are also meeting the demands of your employees. They are meeting the demands of your stakeholders in a world that is very, very complex. And this transformation, this dynamic, like I will say in every crisis moment or disruptive moment, lies opportunities to transform things, to reinvent yourself. And I want to speak to you in this context of very intense transformation about this opportunity of transformation and this opportunity of reinvention. Because this is really important to pause a little bit today and to think about this environment. So we have a lot of technologies that are happening. As I said, you have a lot of background noise, hype, different possibilities. Our goal at Rockwell Automation is to ground this into reality. I think Blake mentions this a lot, and after me, Matthews will speak about the offers that we have today. Those opportunities are real, but you still have to make decisions today, decisions in terms of architecture, technology, people you partner with, and those decisions that you make today will have a very significant impact on the future. And I don't mean that if you choose something today, you are locked forever. I think the technology will change. If you look about just the field of AI 5 years ago, you can imagine that 5 years from now, some of the things that we use today will be obsolete and some new things better will be emerged. So there is a conversation about choices that you make today to get the right result now, but also choices that you make today with the right partners to architect your industrial operation, to invent this future of industrial operations, making the right technology choices. And this is about charting your course. As I said, technology will be very different in 5 years. I was reading an article yesterday. Some of you might know Yann LeCun, who is a very famous figure in the AI industry. And has always been over the last year theorizing the fact that there will be something that will come after large language models. You can imagine that with the investment that comes today, if something disruptive to large language model emerge, that's going to be another transformation. So I think that's why charting the course, defining the right strategy, where do we start, where do we go next, making the right architecture choices, and focusing on value, not focusing on technology, not focusing on what is fancy or exciting, resisting the FOMO pressures that it looks like I've seen at a conference somebody doing something like this, I might be able to do the same, but grounding all this into reality. And the reality and what we want to be able to do, Blake hinted to this, is to really embrace this transformation that moving from a factory, as we design them today, factories that are designed to repeat a certain number of tasks in a very efficient, safe, reliable way, but changes those factories from factories that you program to factories that are based on predetermined instructions to factories that make independent decisions, that learn and that adapt. And when you think about this, the ability to have a factory that learns and adapts, it doesn't just change the design of the factory, the architecture of the factory, the roles. I will mention an example for illustration. Today, robots are mostly isolated from people in different factories. They operate in their own space. But by introducing AMR, one of the products that we have in our portfolio, we start to see a space where robots and people exist in the same space. So we need to think differently about design architecture, layout of the factories. That's what we have at Rockwell Automation experimented with our own factories, because we apply those technology that we advocate for you. We apply those technology to our own factories, and we have rethink completely the layout of the Singapore factory to be able to embrace those technologies and get the maximum amount. But the principle is always the same. It's really this idea to build a system that learns, adapts, and improves. Technology over the last decade has given access to a lot of information, a lot of data, but this is also noise. So transforming those data into relevant context, decision, and ultimately closing the loop, this is what really matters. Closing the loop at the end, transforming an insight into an action, this is what will really create a completely autonomous systems. And this is a reinvention. This is not just patching AI to automation or considering that AI is another category of product. It's really, for us at Rockwell Automation, the idea of reinventing what we have been doing over decades around automation to the business of autonomy. We believe that our business is becoming the autonomy business. And there are three fundamental technology advancements that I want to highlight that work together to make this real today. Not in the near future, not with technologies that needs to be invented in a decade, but technology that is available today, that you can use in your factory, that have an impact. And look at the examples that were mentioned by Blake in his keynotes. I think they are just an handful of those cases that we have done this year that have delivered real, tangible value to our customers leveraging AI. So those three technology advancements, the idea of software-defined automation, the idea of applying to automation the principles that have been applied to other industries, software-defined networking in the past, software-defined vehicles that we are speaking more and more in the auto industry, artificial intelligence, and the physical embodiment of AI, which is robotics. And this is, for us, the technical foundation of this revolution of industrial operations. And there are no three isolated topics. They work together. You need a software-defined architecture to enable AI in the right way, allows the right speed of evolution of the software, the right retraining, all the evolution. You need the agility of a software-defined architecture to get the best out of AI and to have a system that has less friction between software and hardware, where both part of the stack plays their role in the right way. Artificial intelligence enables robotics. As I said, artificial intelligence is just a physical embodiment into robotics that makes robots. So I want to speak quickly about each of them and highlight some points that I say are important to ground this reinvention, the foundation of this revolution of industrial ops into reality. So SDA is already here. You will see it on the show floor. Mateusz is going to speak about it after us. SDA for Rockwell Automation has been years in the making. It's really about maximizing the flexibility, the agility of the system. It's about making the design of the application independent from the underlying choices of hardware. It doesn't mean at all considering that the hardware is a dumb piece of commodity. Hardware needs to have different form factor to fit different scenario. Not just PLCs or an evolution of PLCs, but edge capabilities, other capabilities that we are building, smarter I/Os, better networks, all those things working together. Hardware is still important, but with software-defined automation, if I take the example of Factory Talk Design Studio, it's the ability to design an application independently from any preconceived choices of hardware and being able, in a second step of a process, to choose the hardware architecture that is most adapted to a certain number of constraints. So it's already here. It's really about maximizing the potential of people and technology and removing friction. It's a strong contributor to Blake's idea that automation needs to be simplified. And I think this is a very important idea. All those things that we bring together, software-defined automation, AI, robotics, it's complex technology. I will not say it's easy. It's our job to make it easy. It's our job to abstract it into an experience that is easy to use for all of our different stakeholders. With SDA and this idea of maximizing the potential of people and technology, we can create systems that, because they are software-defined, they can self-organize and self-optimize. We can decide and we can architect them to be human-centric. We can design them in a way that they fit the roles of the different people, the current role and the evolving roles. Those are some of the areas that we have prioritized because we believe those are beyond just the idea of a software-defined architecture, this idea of self-organization and self-optimization, this idea of focusing on people, making this not just a piece of technology, but a piece of technology that people like to use, can use easily, with an experience that is really smooth and reduces friction and this complexity. And even an experience that can adapt to personas, that can, for example, adapt to people that have more or less experience using a piece of software. It's because we create a system that is based on a software-defined architecture that we can make those choices and have this flexibility. So this is for us not a revolution in the sense of we are entering in a field that is unknown to us and that we have to completely discover. This is the next evolution of automation. A lot of all those different things that we are talking in terms of technology are not unfamiliar at all for Rockwell Automation. Those are technologies that we have seen evolve and progress, and we are just applying them in a different way in our architectures. But it's really to bring those three fundamental system attributes that we believe are important for the future of industrial operations: maximizing flexibility, ensuring scalability. If you deploy something somewhere, you want to be able to deploy it somewhere else in an easier way or in a faster way. And adaptive. Environment change, constraint change, location can vary. How do we create something that has this degree of adaptability, again, in the spirit of reducing friction? We have seen this evolution in IT, and on my comment on hardware versus software, this has not, by the way, made in IT the hardware disappear or the hardware commoditize. If commoditization of hardware was the only conversation, Cisco will not have any more switches, and all networks will run on Raspberry Pi, okay? And it is not the case, seriously. So one of the things that is important in our consideration of software-defined automation is, of course, there is a subset of software-defined automation that is control. And this is really our bread and butter. This is a very strong part of our portfolio. We have already, before speaking about SDA today, we have already created a modern compute platform to have this idea of multidiscipline control. Before Rockwell introduced to the market multidiscipline control, this idea that into a control architecture, you have control, but safety, motion integrated, and other capacity securities now. We bring multidiscipline control to the market. That was a transformation that simplifies the hardware architecture of many automation systems, and that our peers followed in terms of architecture. But with SDA, we can go one level further. With SDA, we can add as many disciplines as we want because they are not bounded by the hardware architecture. We can add custom disciplines. We can add disciplines that are specific to your industry, to your use case, that operates directly into the silicon. We can embed AI in a different way and have this optimization of different production parameters happening directly into the control architecture. And all this foundation that we are creating is just the foundation to get more out of IA, which is really the next part of the journey. And with IA, it's really this idea that I repeat again because I think it's really important, this idea of learning and adapting in real time. That needs a software-defined system to be able to do this. For all the flexibility, agility, transformations that I've mentioned. And if we speak a minute about AI, AI, in our view, is one more technology. It's not very different from compute, network, other technologies. It should not be seen as a product. It should not be seen as a specific category. It will lead to the invention of new products, of course. We are thinking about new products because AI is possible, but we are even thinking more about how each of the products of our portfolio is transformed with AI so that we can bring more impact and more value to the challenge that you are facing. And we want to focus, and we are focused on pragmatic use cases. We are not trying to invent a technology and hope that fits and that solves your problems. We are very engaged with you and with some of you on co-creation, co-innovation, because we want at Rockwell Automation to make industrial AI real. We want to make it pragmatic, down to earth. We want to make it in a way that I believe are the values of people in an industrial environment. And bringing AI to existing architectures and systems is really important for us. Blake mentioned a certain number of examples. If you take something like the Texas Instrument example that I believe is very interesting, it starts from a foundation of a SCADA system that is about operating the chiller architecture of Texas Instrument, but it adds an AI layer on top of this that we call OptimAI that create an optimization of the production of chilled water in the context of the production of semiconductors. So you always get the right amount of chilled water, you spend the right amount of energy, and overall, Texas Instruments have been able to make measurable, significant productivity on the energy cost by using it. This is what I call making industrial AI real. It doesn't need a product that we don't have. It doesn't need technology that we don't have. And from this, we learn something. From this, we improve algorithm, and we will make better products for the industry. Our approach to this, to detail it a little bit, has been really to incorporate AI into functions. Functions that correspond to categories of applications in the industrial environment. Vision AI caters to all the different vision solutions. There are various use cases, but we have created a core vision capability that is able to address multiple vision use cases, where the camera is not the center point, but the software that transforms image or signals from image into insight and decision is what is important. Guardian AI is our edge solution, where we look at a modern AI-based approach to condition monitoring. Logix AI is how we embed autonomous adjustment of control parameters into a PLC by expanding an existing PLC with new capabilities, which is important for us. We are going to go both ways. We are going to both create a path to upgrade the products that already exist on the field, but also create net new products that have unique and specific capabilities, but we will go both ways. And all those capabilities together, assembling those different functions, assembling those different products is what allows us to create self-optimizing process in the context of our customers, depending on what optimizing means. And it might mean many, many different things, depending on the industry, the customer, and the specific challenges that are faced. One thing that I'm particularly excited about is the nature of interaction between people and machines on the shop floor and beyond the shop floor. Something that is going to be fundamentally different than the type of experience we see today, something that is going to be empowering, and something that is going to help create more value. By bringing natural interaction, simple interaction, chat, voice, different ways to the shop floor, we empower people on the shop floor to interact with the system in a different way. Instead of searching from data to make a decision, you can get directly a recommendation. So we are very, very focused on not just developing the right technology, but understanding personas, understanding how they use technology, and creating breakthrough experiences from them with those technology. So it changes the way they work, it changes the way they are empowered, and it makes overall the industrial operations more efficient and closer to their different goals. This is the next frontier. This is really what we are working on. Agentic AI is where we are moving on. You have heard a lot about agentic AI. I think there is a simple way to look at agentic AI, is that instead of providing an information, it drives an action, okay? And it goes from just knowing what to do to actually doing it. And a very good illustration of agentic AI. Of course, we are going to have agents in different parts of software. I think if you go on the show floor and you look at the Plex demonstration, you will see some initial work on an agent architecture and deploying agents on the Plex infrastructure. But it's also going to be a physical embodiment. And again, this is very close to what we do today. When we think about robots, robots might be, we all have read books and we think about robots very often about humanoids, but a machine, whatever is this machine, that performs a task autonomously and has the ability to adapt and learn is a robot. So all machines in a factory floor are gradually going to become some form of robots. Maybe some of those robots will be humanoid robots, but there will be a lot of other form factors all across. And robots and AMR, as I said, is just a version of a robot. I think an important idea that I mentioned earlier, they are not isolated anymore. They are living in the same space, which has a lot of implication in terms of safety, fleet management, software capabilities to do all this that Rockwell knows and Rockwell has into its portfolio. And I will say, at the end, what do we get with this work we do on robotics? It's not just about adding robots in different parts, but it's able to have higher speed and higher integration, to have different range of motion and dexterity, to have advanced sensors, and to use robots, which I think is very interesting, also as data collectors. When you have an AMR that goes across a factory, you can collect the data that are related to the specific application and move from A to B, but we can also create applications that monitor safety, risk, equipment at the right place, people not wearing the right protection and everything. So they become mobile sensors, and that's why this idea of having a fleet management software, a plane to manage all those different robots is a very important foundation that we have today. Those robots will have different capabilities, and we are at the center of these revolutions because if we combine our history and our experience in automation with what we have today with the acquisition of AutoClearPath and an autonomy platform, we have the foundation to be at the center of this robotics evolution. So this is the end of where we are. This is at the edge of intelligence and physical AI. This is what Rockwell is focused on. We have built those capabilities. They are real. They are demonstrated this week on the show floor. And we are also showing you innovations. This is just the beginning. We have a lot of ideas, perspective projects to go further this. This is a journey. As I said in my introduction, the decisions you make today will set a lot your path in the future. We want to be your partner in that journey, and we believe we have the people, the product, and the capabilities to be that partner. Thank you very much, and enjoy this fantastic week at Automation Fair.